is your Taurus full moon astrological outlook for November 5th, 2025. And the full moon is at 13 degrees of Taurus, and the sun, of course, opposite at 13 degrees of Scorpio. And Taurus and Scorpio are very fixed signs, and during this time of year, we are very focused on what we want, very determined. But sometimes we can be a little bit feisty and probably a little bit too fixed in our ways with this full moon in Taurus. But it's good to focus on our goals. It's good to figure out, like the Scorpio detective, what's behind the scenes. And with Taurus, that gives us the stubborn and fixity of nature to stay with what we feel is true, whether we are unlocking those Scorpio secrets or we are very focused on our goals and ambitions. So there's some good here with this full moon in Taurus. And Mercury, the thinker, the communicator, is in the sign of Sagittarius, making somewhat of a wide conjunction at 0 degrees Mars in Sagittarius. So with this kind of Mercury-Mars conjunction, even if wide, not exact, we are feeling a little enthusiastic because Sagittarius is the ninth house, the philosopher, and it's about travel. And Sagittarius, especially with Mars there, and Mars loves to be in the sign of Sagittarius. We're feeling kind of restless right now. We want to travel. And one thing about Sagittarius, they love to speak their mind. And with Mars there, the planet of action, with Mercury, the communicator, we are going to be very straightforward. In fact, maybe not so much sarcastic like the sign of Scorpio, but we really want to just speak the truth because Sagittarius loves truth. And now that Mars and Mercury are in the sign of Sagittarius, well, there's a lot of information that's being released right now. And yes, because Mars can be a bit combative as Mercury with Mars, we'll have to just temper our speech just a little bit because we really want to get out what we want to say. There's a lot of information that's being exposed now because before, during the new moon, it was about really discovering those secrets, playing detective, going underneath, bringing the darkness to the light. But now we've got the light turned on with Mercury and Mars in Sagittarius. So we want to tell it like it is. We want to speak the truth, and we're feeling rather restless. But this, well, we're going to have to temper here just a little bit. Yes, indeed, because this Sagittarius speech and truth, because it is the arrow of truth, it could get us into a little bit of trouble. Yes, yes, indeed, there too as well. And because we have Mars, the action planet, opposing exactly with retrograde. Yes, that's retrograde Uranus. And so, with that said, Uranus is the shock planet. It rules Aquarius. And by the way, it's the depositor here now of Pluto, the powerhouse in Aquarius. So we're feeling really restless, really rebellious right now. There's something that we got to get off of our chest and our mind. We got to put out there. And right now, because of this opposition with Mars and some wide degree with Mercury at 5 degrees Sagittarius, we really have this itch to communicate, because the one thing in common that has with Uranus in Gemini, the communicator, and its depositor in Sagittarius, and Mars, and by wide opposition, Sagittarius, Mercury opposing Uranus, is we really want to communicate so much. We've got so much information now, and it's kind of communication overload. We just discovered some information, and we just want to tell the world. And yes, could this be something of scientific lines? Yes, because Sagittarius, in a way, kind of like Pluto in futuristic Aquarius, rules the future. And so this could be an invention, it could be something to do with space, it could be something to do with AI, or it just could be general information that we just want to discuss. Because again, keep in mind, Uranus is the depositor of Pluto in Aquarius, and Mercury in Sagittarius, conjoining aggressive Mars, is the depositor of Mercury, or of Uranus. Well, Mercury is the depositor here, with Uranus in Gemini, even retrograde. So that could create a little bit of frustration, some stress overload, the desire to really be on the go, to move, to communicate. So there's going to be a lot right now in the news, a lot of flurry of communications. And yes, with the Sagittarius and the Gemini connection with Uranus, there could be some debates, very lively debates, I must add. And so right now, if you find yourself in some kind of debate, some kind of conflict or argument because of this need to speak your mind, yes, this is the time you just want to lower that stress level, lower that aggression, that assertiveness just a tad, turn down the temperature on the need to be right, the need to speak the truth. And that is what's going to be the focus right now. We are going to be very forceful about getting over, well, possibly on other people, getting our way, but it may be a little bit lively, not too serious, even though this full moon is in Taurus. That just makes us a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more forceful, a little bit more stubborn about being right. So therefore, we're going to have to just consider the other person's point of view. Yes, and now we still have yet Jupiter, that lucky planet, moving along here into the sign of Cancer. So because prosperity is connected with Jupiter as luck, and with the fourth house sign of Cancer, it's still a good time and the lucky time for prosperity in all fourth house matters. That's which is connected with investments, kind of similar to Taurus, by the way. The full moon. It's also connected to some degree like Taurus with the second house and our values, because Cancer is about protection, it's about our values. And that with the Taurus moon is also going to be very prominent now. With that Taurus full moon, there may be some interesting, although may or may not be disturbing information regarding just that, the economy, investments, security. These are going to be topics that are going to be a focus of prosperity and our security, our sense of protection, family, home, family, the real estate market, because both Taurus and Cancer have that in common. They like money. They like that sense of security and protection, family. Although Taurus is a tad more stubborn. Although with Jupiter there, these are still areas that will be lucky for us, for that Cancer Jupiter. It's all about really feeling that we are feeling protected and secure. And all this talk of family, the economy, and so on. And of course, because it is a full moon, something along these lines is going to come to a close that is connected with what? Scorpio and Taurus, the second house, the eighth house. So there could be something connected with money, banking, business that is going to fold or come to a close. That's going to be a strong focus of our discussions now. And we still have, yes indeed, we still have Saturn making somewhat of a wide, somewhat 4 degrees conjunction with Neptune, of both are retrograde, and not far behind that is the North Node in Pisces. So there may be something right now of a loss because of Saturn with Neptune. Saturn is that which is connected with blocks or feeling like we're kind of walking through quicksand or the mud, and we really kind of have to find our way and navigate through these Pisces waters right now with Neptune there, still in its own but retrograde. So yes, there could be something that causes us a little bit of sadness or something from the past because Pisces is with the 12th house, as in the North Node, Saturn, and Neptune retrograde. So it's a sensitive topic. There might be just that, some kind of topic that's very sensitive, some kind of loss or melancholy that we will have to meditate on and really try to focus on and heal. And that's a good thing that Pisces is good with. Yes, it can bring up some past hurts or some melancholy now, but also Pisces about healing. And so this is a good time to heal or to think about some of those past wounds that have hurt us. And we will get through this, whatever we're going to be going through during this time of this full moon. But also, we are closing a chapter in our lives because of this full moon, or realizing whatever it is that has caused us some pain or some difficulties, stress, what have you, that we are realizing, and Pisces will give us that inner strength to realize we have to close the door. So this is a time with this full moon that we are healing. Yes, we may go through some difficulties, some questionable time here, but we will get through it. Absolutely, for sure. Very sensitive time. It may be moving, very emotional, but we will be okay. Definitely with that sense of sensitivity with that Pisces connection. And at least here with Mars and Mercury, we still have that sense of enthusiasm. Even through some difficulties, we see the silver lining, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So that kind of adds a dash of some positivity here to this chart. And we've got Venus still barely there in its own of Libra. So it's all about gatherings, connecting with each other, kind of reaching out to each other, kind of sympathizing with each other, joining together. Because see, Venus is in its own in Libra. So take a hint from Libra here. It's about getting together, healing together, giving each other support. And because Venus is at the 28th, almost 29th degree, there is also going to be something that has something to do with gatherings or legalities that's finally going to get closed during this time of the full moon until the next new moon. Finally, there's some kind of legality, yes, court thing or whatever that's been discussed, negotiations, what have you, that will finally be closed. But this is all good because, again, Venus loves to be in Libra, even at a later degree. So this is good. We're finally feeling like some kind of negotiation, legality. We can also close the book on there, and that may be publicly as well. Something in the news that's finally being able to be put to rest once and for all. And yes, Pluto, although no longer retrograde, is at 1 degree of Aquarius, and Pluto is always the powers that be. And guess what? Pluto makes a sweet sextile to both Mars and Mercury. Beautiful sextile. So, as aforementioned, we're going to be really focused on the future. Maybe because we realize we have to close the book on something that's not been so positive. The sextile with Pluto, the powerhouse, and Mars and Mercury are helping us to realize that tomorrow is in fact a new and possibly better day. So we are still imbued with enthusiasm about the future, and certainly something, and again, as aforementioned, something connected with an invention, something connected with the future is really going to give us a little bit of some enthusiasm for something very positive, futuristic, whatever that may be. Although with Pluto in the Uranian side of Aquarius, well, the powers that be may be a little bit unpredictable. Yes, indeed. They may be acting a little bit strange or saying a little bit strange, but Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for quite some time. But at least with the sextile to both Mercury, the communicator, and Mars, the action planet, we may have some great news connected with the powers that be, because at least they're feeling, even if acting a little bit unusual, more positive right now these days. Yes, indeed. So, right now, to surmise, yes, there's something with this Pisces connection with Saturn and Neptune, and yes, even the North Node in Pisces, that we really need to put behind us. Something that may be tugging at our heartstrings right now. And by the way, Saturn and Neptune, and with this Pisces connection and with the South Node, rules water. So there may be a concern with what? Moisture, the weather. So another nod to the weather, to the oceans. There may be a concern there because we've got Saturn with Neptune, and that is water. It is moisture. It is the oceans. And so, yes, we're going to have to be careful. Another notice here about weather-related incidences, so, or water-related incidences. That's just a side note there. But again, we will have to put to rest something that is tugging at our heartstrings and our sensitivities. But it does imbue us here too with a sense of charity. So that's one beauty about Pisces and Saturn, Neptune here, is we are going to be very sensitive, extra sensitive right now, and this will be very good for us to put out to those that are underprivileged and in need. And also the medical area is going to be of a forefront of discussion. Something medical, could be psychological, could be actually physical. And this is something that's also going to be a big topic of discussion during this full moon until the next new moon. But that is going to be a focus. Yes, we are feeling at least that whatever we have to shut the door on, we have some kind of strong sense that things will improve and they will get better. We have to watch how we are in our discussions. So enthusiastic are we to put the information out there that we are now finding out. We're going to have to temper that enthusiasm and not get into tit for tat discussions that could be acrimonious, very animated, and that could spill over into the public. Yeah, we'll have to see. But nonetheless, we don't want to get so combative with our need to be right here and truthful Sagittarius that we will have to consider the other's point of view. And we will at least have a good strong focus on protecting our own, protecting others, that sense of charity here because of this beautiful trine now between Jupiter and Cancer and the Pisces connection with this Saturn Neptune conjunction. So that's really kind of heightening our concern and that word compassion for others. And right now, for whatever reason, we may need that added compassion, love, and understanding towards each other, protecting. It's about family. And it's really good though for investments. If this you want to get out there and you want to invest or really put money into that which is valuable. Taurus, Cancer, even Scorpio. And yes, there's still with that Scorpio sun there and that connection also. You could say somewhat of a trine, a grand trine with the North Node Scorpio sun, even at 13 degrees, and somewhat of a late Jupiter in Cancer there. Not quite the grand trine, but very, very positive indeed with this Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So right now it's about healing of all kinds. Meditate. Venus in Libra, even though late, is all about joining together, coming together, supporting each other, and closing some of those books on anything legal, contracts, however that may be. And at least we'll have some good news with the powers that be. Something that's really going to give us some kind of enthusiasm about the future as well. So, this is a time overall, no matter what's kind of getting us a little bit moved by sensitivities and sympathies, this is a time to really have compassion, come together, and have enthusiasm. Can't say that enough for the future, and consider our values. And now this Taurus full moon, even if it is a little bit stubborn, will end up being rather positive.